It's Wednesday, June 3rd, and it's time for your Barbados Today morning news update. Barbadians who are not employed in the public service may get an opportunity to invest their monies, albeit with a lower interest return than that of the Barbados Optional Savings Scheme. That's according to Prime Minister Mia Mottley, who said the investment will come in the form of a pandemic solidarity fund, which will be used to help replenish the dwindling resources of the National Insurance Scheme. The Prime Minister was responding to a question during yesterday's sensitization meetings on the BOSS initiative from a public servant who queried why the government bonds on offer were not being offered to the wider public.
What you're getting from the government of Barbados is a fixed rate bond. So it is 5% fixed for the life of the bond. People ask why not the whole country? Why we're not making it available to the whole country? Other things and other instruments will come to be made available, and maybe not even at the same level as this, because really and truly an employer treats employees better than they treat anyone else for the most part, and that is why banks tend to give their employees a mortgage rate that is lower than what you and I who are not employed by the bank is paid. Having said that, Dr. Greenwich has shown you that this is definitely within the parameters of what government will pay to borrow, 4.5% to the 2 CDB loans in 2018 and 2019. For the external debt restructuring, which finished in December, the 2 bonds there are 6.5%, but that's really because of different circumstances and much longer tenor.
The Prime Minister said, with the World Health Organization having warned against the second wave of COVID-19, there was a need for a similar initiative from government.
The bottom line is that we have to get the numbers right too, because too far east is always west. And therefore, the 2 things that we know that we're trying to be able to deal with this year are, one, the $100 million that we want for additional capital works there. But secondly, we know that we have to go back at the market at some point. Even though we have some monies that we can use, we don't want to use up all of the liquidity we have as well in the event of a second wave or a third wave of COVID, which, as you know, the WHO has said is entirely possible. So we may have to go back to the market with a pandemic solidarity bond for the NIS in the future. And in that one, that would be more open to the whole public. Its terms and conditions will be similar, may not be the 5%, it may be 4.25%, or whatever. But the point is that there's going to be another opportunity beyond this for those who are non-public servants.
Unemployment claims to the National Insurance Scheme continue to increase. Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Ryan Strawn, told Parliament the NIS had received some 42,797 claims so far. He made the disclosure as he led off debate yesterday on the Catastrophe Fund bill.
Those almost 43,000 claims for unemployment, sir, and it's a situation, sir, that is quite extraordinary. And there is pressure on the national insurance, because you would appreciate, sir, that with 43,000 claims for unemployment, that means, sir, that there are 43,000 potentially less persons who are making contributions, who would ordinarily be making contributions to the NAS. And if you can imagine, sir, the unemployment fund obviously will be under pressure. And therefore, the government of Barbados has a fiduciary responsibility to provide the appropriate funds to be able to pay those persons their unemployment once it becomes due. And therefore, it is not an easy experience, certainly for those persons having to adjust. As the government, we have to respond to the very immediate needs of persons that we have already put critical measures in place to deal with that.
At the same time, the minister urged workers to make periodic checks with the National Insurance Scheme and the Barbados Revenue Authority to ensure their contributions were being paid as reflected on their pay slips.
Do not assume that people and I say this, sir, without any malice, it is the responsibility of every citizen, sir, to check and to verify that any statutory obligations that are being taken from your salary, sir, is actually being deposited at the appropriate institutions. Over the course of the last few weeks, sir, as I've been doing tax clinics, sir, online, I've had to say to ask persons participating, can you confirm that this money that is shown here at the Revenue Authority as in your account, that you actually earned it? And the reality is, sir, that we have all taken things for granted that once the payroll slip is done and they send you the payroll, sir, and it goes to the bank and all of that, we all take it for granted. But the reality is, sir, is that we all have to take just a little time to verify that if somebody has taken monies from my pay and said that it has gone to the BRA and said that it has gone to NIS, it is really still your responsibility to check and verify that it is so.
Government is looking to achieve greater efficiencies within the judicial system, and Attorney General Dale Marshall said one of the administration's significant initiatives was the establishment of a regime for electronic filing of court documents. Marshall was speaking during yesterday's debate in Parliament on the Stamp Duty Amendment Bill and the Registration of Judgments Bill.
So this is the completion of a circle or of a cycle, and it facilitates the legal system of Barbados moving swiftly towards a system of electronic filing. Now, sir, this will, I believe, not only create efficiencies, but help to reduce costs of transactions. Now, it isn't to say the stamp duty is no longer paid, but anytime it is paid, but anytime you make a system more efficient, minimize the amount of time that legal clerks have to go over to the registry and stand in line to file documents and so on, then, sir, you allow the system to function more effectively, speedily, and that will always have an impact on the cost equation. The other element, sir, is the registration of judgments. Registration of judgments, when a person gets a judgment, you complete a form, and you file it, you pay the filing fee, and you get a judgment registered. It's a paper-based process, sir. It's a paper-based process that doesn't really facilitate searching to see if judgments are registered against you, and this too we can do more effectively. And this amendment to the Registration of Judgments Act will now allow the Registrar of the Supreme Court to maintain an electronic register of judgments.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from the region, the Bahamas experiences record unemployment numbers due to the COVID-19 pandemic. As we hear in this report from ZNS News, some 55,000 people have applied for unemployment benefits in the country.
Minister of Labor, Senator the Honorable Dion Folks, says unemployment driven by the COVID-19 pandemic could sit anywhere between 30 to 40%, taking into consideration an unemployment rate of 10.7% pre-COVID-19. Folks says of a labor force of approximately 225,000 in the Bahamas, 55,000 people have applied for unemployment benefits during the COVID-19 pandemic. While a large percentage of temporary layoffs came from the hotel sector, at least one establishment, Italian restaurant Luciano's of Chicago, announced a permanent closure last week, leaving 72 without a job. But will more follow suit?
Luciano's is the only business so far that we've been notified of a closure, a permanent closure. All of the other businesses in the country, without exception, have indicated that it's a temporary situation and that their employees are temporarily laid off. I know some businesses are thinking about bringing their employees back in a staged and an incremental fashion. But we would like to encourage the business houses to, as soon as they can, to re-engage all of their employees.
Hotel properties like Atlantis and Bahamar laid off thousands of employees as a temporary move in late March, keeping only essential staff. As the COVID-19 closure of the economy dragged on, the 12-week deadline that would have had employers make the decision to make temporary layoffs permanent was set for June 15th. But on Friday, Prime Minister the Most Honorable Dr. Hubert Minnis signed emergency powers orders that extended the 90-day layoff period 30 days past the end of the emergency powers.
And finally, maintaining social distancing measures, improving surveillance, and strengthening health systems are the three keys to controlling the COVID-19 pandemic in the Americas. So said the director of the Pan American Health Organization, Dr. Carissa Etienne, as she addressed the weekly virtual press briefing on the virus. Dr. Etienne also raised concern about the over 250,000 new COVID-19 cases recorded in Latin American countries during the past week alone.
Yes, the situation we faced is dire, but not hopeless, as long as our approach to defeating the virus is based on solidarity. We must work together, share resources, and apply the proven strategies that we have learned along the way. This is our way out. PAHO has been working with partners and governments across the region since January to prepare for COVID-19. The impact on our region has been severe, but it could have been worse. Health authorities at every level, local, state, and national, have implemented public health measures that flatten the curve in their communities. But the Americas are vast, diverse, and home to deep-rooted challenges that make stopping a virus complicated.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.